Why this high price tag in Brazil? What's going on?
Good morning, Betty Lou. Well, right now the problems down in Brazil, as I would call them, that right now the Brazilians are holding their breath as the World Cup begins. They've had some challenges down there with civil unrest, all of the problems with the FIFA, with the buildings, with the transportation, the telecommunications. It's been a problem, and for the 600,000 to 1 million foreign travelers that they expect to come in for the Cup games, it could be a challenge. So I think everyone's holding their breath to see what happens.
But this price tag, though, what would underscore that? Is it the fact that this is being held in a dozen cities in Brazil?
Yeah, the games are being played in 12 different cities throughout Brazil. If you fly from Manaus up north down to the south, it's a 5-hour flight. So it's a huge country. They have to spread their security forces around. So that's one of the issues. There's a 22% increase in security forces from the South African World Cup games.
If you were running security there, Jim, what would you focus on?
Well, I think one of the things, and it's nice to see the Brazilians have done this. They've established what I'll call a Operations Intel Fusion Center up in Brasilia. They have all the different sites linked into that with the smaller fusion centers down there. They've also brought in liaison officers from the different countries that are there to liaison with the Brazilian security forces, whether it be military, law enforcement, to really continue to work the information in real time. The biggest things I would be looking for is watching the social media, watching the civil unrest. I believe that's the biggest issue to travelers and for the safety and security, is if these flash mobs come up for any of the protests, that could put a big crimp on the games.
What is safety like for the World Cup versus other major global events, Jim, like the Olympics, for instance?
Well, they're very similar. The Olympics, the World Cup, major events, they're very similar. The thing with the World Cup is, especially here in Brazil, I believe the biggest factor is the distance they have to travel to all different places. You're talking hundreds of miles, where London, at the last Olympics in London, I mean, they're all concentrated there, so you can concentrate your security forces. One of the issues could be is if you have an issue, let's say in Manaus, and another issue going on in Sao Paulo or down in Brasilia,
right,
that now you've spread your forces around.
And where would you rank, Jim, Brazil as in terms of danger versus other countries?
Yeah, I'd call Brazil right now, we call it for our clients in TigerSwan, a medium to high threat country, mostly because of the crime. We have several of TigerSwan's clients that are down there and who are down there for the World Cup that are linked into our ops center down there, and we believe the biggest threat to them right now is between where they're staying in the venue and the flash crime that can happen there.
And tell me, Jim, the technology for your clients down in Brazil right now, the technology that you're using to protect them. What's different this time?
Sure. Well, for us is, again, it's all about what type of information we can get out there to provide our clients real-time, quick information so we can move them away from a position. One of our software that we're using down there is social media gathering. We scrape the social media. We're watching for these indicators that will allow social media, that really how a lot of the mobs and the protests are being done, and they're gathered over social media. So if we can monitor that, we can move things around and bypass those so our clients don't get caught up in them.
And don't you have a tracking device that you've now armed some of your clients with?
Yeah, we do. We've taken our experiences from the military. We have a small beacon that all our clients carry around the world. We can monitor them in real time, both from an Iridium-based GPS, and if they happen to go inside and they lose that Iridium feed, then we can track them inside on a cellular GSM system. And it gets down to 1 meter resolution and really gives us great, great observation of where our people are at all times.
And Jim, on a final note, what country or countries are harder to secure clients than others? I mean, is Brazil fairly easy and open? Are there other countries that are a lot more difficult?
That's a difficult question. We could spend all day on that. Brazil is an interesting country. Let's take that right now. It's open, but I'll give you an example. There are days that our clients, we pick them up at the airport. It's a 45-minute drive from the airport to downtown Sao Paulo. The next day, it could turn out to be a 4-hour drive because of all the traffic and the disassociation that goes on. The Middle East is still a difficult place for our clients. We really watched that piece again because of the uncertainty. But right now, I think Brazil is a big focus for us and a lot of other safety and security apparatuses.